Hey Leo, Mariah here. It's a pleasure to be here with you as always. So, I want to go ahead and take a look at where spirit is guiding you. I want to know where you're being led at this time, what direction you're being led to go. So, let's go ahead and get into it and see where spirit's trying to take you throughout your May. Okay, Leo, so let's go ahead and get into your reading. Let's see where you're being led in the month of May. Spirit, tell me where my Leo's being led in the month of May. Six of Pentacles, Page of Pentacles. I'm hearing that movie. Oh my goodness. The soundtrack from the movie. It's called The Bodyguard. It's with Whitney Houston and Kevin Costner. And that's what this is very similar to. If I was to even tell you, Leo, just quickly what this really feels like, it's like I'm visually able to see somebody driving like 120, 130 miles per hour on the highway, and they're going super fast, and immediately they're having to put on their brakes, and their car is spinning out of control, and their car is going all over the place. But there's somebody in the passenger seat. Now, give me a quick second so I can really explain this. There's somebody in the passenger seat, but it's not just an actual person. This feels like spirit. It feels that's what this is. Spirit's been waiting for you to catch up, and now that you're caught up, now you're being reverted into a whole new different direction. You're being turned into a whole different direction. And that's where that break analogy is coming from, having to stop where you're going, because now you've caught up to where you're supposed to be, whether it's spiritually, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, physically, etc. You've caught up. You've elevated to where you should be. Now, don't get me wrong, doesn't mean that you're not dealing with stressors, doesn't mean that you're not dealing with certain other mental concerns that can be bothering you at this time when it comes to your life circumstances. I'm not going to exclude that. But because you've caught up, now Spirit's like, okay, I can now point you in the right direction. Now I can now open these doors for you. Now I can open up rooms for you and speak your name in certain rooms that are going to give you that yes, that is going to give you that approval. Now I can speak and whisper words into these other people's ears or around these other circumstances that you've really been aligning yourself with, but we may have just been off our target. We may have been slightly off our pivot just a little bit. Now that you've done the work internally, or if you've really grown internally, now Spirit can start to make the moves on your behalf, so that way you are able to catch up to where you're supposed to be. And that doesn't mean that you're behind. That doesn't mean you're inferior. That doesn't mean that there's a reason for you to feel embarrassed or feel like you lost out, because that's not the case. The circumstances that you've been placed under, that you had to go through, were all lessons for you to really learn. So that way, moving into this new chapter of your life or these new life experiences, you have those lessons to use as an anchor point, that you've been through certain difficulties or that you've been through certain circumstances. So that way, when the new challenges present you to these new open doors or to these new opportunities, you now have those past experiences as reference points, being able to say, well, if I made it through that, I know I can make it through this too. Now that I've made it through that, and now I'm in my new life, and when challenges arise, if I can overbeat those things and overcome those things, and those things are of my past, and I was able to endure maybe those difficulties and those hardships, what I'm now having to enter into on this new level, yes, it may be difficult. Yes, they may come with their new set of challenges, but if I made it through that, I can make it through this. And you had to learn those lessons, and you had to go through those experiences for a reason. But your target was slightly off. And again, it wasn't for no good reason. You gained a benefit out of those things. You gain knowledge, you gain wisdom, you gain experience. And those are things that people can't pay for. Those are things that people can't just go and buy. You have to go through it to get to it. So that way you know how to maintain and sustain where you are going into this new level of your life. So I even go back a little bit further, Leo, when I speak about Spirit being around you, almost like this bodyguard kind of essence. It's like even through the times of prayer, even through the times of trying to put the pieces together, Spirit may have been showing you or trying to lead you in a certain direction, but we couldn't see things fully. We couldn't see things clear as day as we needed to. And maybe because we were still a work in progress, maybe because we were still trying to sow our oats before we could eat from the fruits of our labor. So it wasn't meant for you to have all the pieces together, because you weren't fully pieced together. But yet we place maybe these expectations on ourselves or these desires upon ourselves that isn't really in alignment with the reality that we're in, because we still were in progress of doing the spiritual work. But now that we've caught up with our spiritual work, our self-development to the level of where we can now enter new chapters and new doors, those dreams, those prayers, those manifestations, maybe those premonitions, even if you have spiritual abilities and gifts, things that may have been shown to you that you may have seen through those experiences, are now making sense. They're now coming to fruition. Now you're able to see more of the broad stroke on this picture of why everything happened the way that it happened, why everything had to fall the way that it fell, why all the cards were lined up in the way they were lined up. And if you felt like you may have been dealt a bad hand in a situation, or maybe in life, or maybe in certain life circumstances, you truly weren't. You still had an ace in a hole, and the ace in a hole was spirit for you this entire time, but spirit was just waiting on you to be prepared for what spirit was going to show you and bring you into. So that's what this feels like where you're being led, Leo. It's not more so the where you're going, but it's more so highlighting to me the process that it took to get to where you're going. So the reasoning behind it, and maybe that is something we don't really have full understanding of. Why did I have to go through this? Why couldn't this play out this way? Or things could have happened that way and it wasn't meant to. As you know, life happens for us the way that it's meant to happen for us, but yet it's still based upon our actions that we take about being proactive in our life that aligns us to getting better life experiences more than the negative aspects of those life experiences. And you've done that work. And I think what's really interesting, I didn't mean to get off the cards here. I'm so sorry. But the Ten of Pentacles I'm looking at it from the corner of my eyes. Forget the rest of the cards for a moment, right? I didn't even get to see, what is he? Seven of Swords, Temper. Okay, forget the rest of the cards for a second, because this Ten of Pentacles is screaming to me strongly. It's never been an easy route. And I'll say that for most of us. Life isn't easy. Life isn't just handed to us on a silver platter. For some people, luckily for them, yes. But even those people have their shortcomings. I think we're all, but I think you specifically, Leo, you've been such a magnificent work in progress. And I mean a magnificent work in progress. And you're always going to be a work in progress. And as if I was to go back to this analogy just one more time, how I was getting somebody just driving down the road super fast. We may have felt, based upon maybe certain synchronicities, things that we were seeing as far as spiritual insights or downloads, or just what we were feeling through our own intuition, that this was the right path. And don't get me wrong, yes, but you were only parallel to the actual path you were meant to be on, not necessarily on that course. And I told you as why you were on the parallel path through those, to gain those learning experiences. But nonetheless, still going down that pathway, Leo, those intuitive hits and insights, we were only seeing a small fraction of the entire pie, not the entire pie itself, not the entire pie within itself. So I would say this to you. Where you're being led is where you've truly been wanting to go. And spirit and the universe, God, whatever it is that you believe in, has been waiting on you to catch up. And now you've caught up. And now your name is going to be spoken in rooms. You're going to be accepted by certain people. Certain opportunities are going to be opening up for you because you've done that work. But based upon your actions, your efforts, and your merits of what you've done and not giving up on yourself, you're going to be seeing those circumstances open up for you. And whether this is around your money, your home, your family, your kids, your life, this is something that is generational, so something that is long term. So this is a new chapter that you're opening up into. This is a new season, a new start, and what you're leaving behind you can no longer access. So you are going to have to throw away that key. You are going to have to maybe even detach and separate yourself from those people, places, or experiences that you've grown ties to that will no longer be able to follow you along to the path that you're going. These doors are not welcome for them. They're only welcome for you. And this new life is all about you. And again, this is all about the material, tangible, physical realm. So things you can touch, see, taste, feel, experience. There's something around this that you've been wanting, and now it's happening, but the universe is just waiting for you to catch up, Leo. So I'm going to leave this here. I don't want to make this too long and lengthy, but just know it's been a pleasure to read for you. I thank you so much. And bye, Leo.